Award-winning Blind Ohio author Chrissy Hartmann hopes to one day hit the bestseller list with a contemporary Western romance. Now, following her debut novel, Rescuing Whiskey's Salvation is a second book to the Whiskey Salvation series, a novella, Cherishing Whiskey's Salvation. Coming early next year, but hopefully sooner, will be a third book of the series, Treasuring Whiskey's Salvation. Not only does Chrissy write romance, but she loves creating short stories and blogging for the Prickle Forrest Chronicles, but only when she's not spending time with her hubby or son. And on today's episode of Auto Interview, it's my utmost pleasure and joy to have on the show today, Chrissy Hartmann. How are you doing, Chrissy?
Great, Peter. Thanks for having me on your program. I love it.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you here, really. Very excited.
It's a long time coming.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited we can finally do this eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Chrissy, could you tell us about your book, Rescuing Whiskey's Salvation? How does this book come about? What inspired you to write Rescuing Whiskey's Salvation?
Okay, well, I was I was writing another book called Tags, and it just wasn't going where I wanted to go. So I put it aside for a little bit. I actually wrote a second book, and I went back to Tags, and it just, I still wasn't getting it. And a friend stopped over, and she works for the local Salvation Army, which is a homeless shelter here in town, and they have them across the nation. And she started telling me about these stories of working for the shelter. So an idea popped in my head, and I'm like, oh, I've got to write this. And I don't think I was ever so excited to write a book in my life before. And it just all came together and stuff. And it's about a story of she's a young heiress who inherits a closed shelter, and she wants to reopen it. She's tired of being in the glitz and glamour, and she wants to reopen it, and she's got more of a compassionate heart to helping the needy and stuff. So she goes to reopen it, and she's got to battle a couple different people and entities to get it open. So that, how it came about, and I've had a lot of fun writing it. And so it's kind of a romance, mystery, and comedy.
Oh, I love the fact. Yeah, I love the fact that it has a blend of romance, mystery, and comedy. It's been a while I read mystery novel, and I love them so much. Yeah. So I want to say thank you so much for sharing. Really interesting.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Now, for readers who haven't read Rescuing Whiskey Salvation yet, and of course, without giving much information away, could we have a sneak of what we'd expect picking up Rescuing Whiskey Salvation?
Well, it's not your typical Western. It is a contemporary Western, so more modern day, and there is romance in it, but it's a sweet romance, and it's basically about a young woman who, is trying to find her own way, and then she bumps into this cowboy that wants to help her out and everything. So, but he turns out to be kind of the wrong person to do it, but it all works out in the end. But you gotta read it to figure out what all happens and everything. So there's quite a few interesting characters in the book that I think a lot of people will like. Stuff. So it is quite funny. So
wow, that's great. That's great, and I love the fact that you even mentioned there are quite some interesting characters there, because I'm a huge fan of characterization, and I love these times whereby when I read the book, this character stays with me forever. Like after a month, after weeks, I can still remember what the character went through, still remember what happens in the book. Like that's one thing I look forward when it comes to reading novels. I'm a huge fan of characterization. Yeah,
that's great.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Now, Chrissy, I also see that you have another book titled Cherishing Whiskey's Salvation. Would you like to tell us a bit about that as well?
Well, okay, that book is I just finished that, and it was well, not just finished, but I put it out in February this last year, and
Oh,
it's it's a continuation of the story somewhat. It's basically the same story, but from the dad's point of view. The main character is Evie Stockton, and it's her dad's point of view of what's going on and how he's in the background helping her out, solve her problems and stuff. But it's also a romance, and he's dealing with a second chance with his marriage.
hmm.
As in the story, there's conflict between the daughter and the mother, and he's got to pick which one he's gonna, stick up for. So
Yeah.
it's comedy. There's comedy in it too, and a lot of the same characters. So everybody gets a really good, look at who he is and stuff. And he was originally in my first book, and then I was told by my editors I had too many characters, too many points of view, so I needed to cut them out. So with a romance, it's usually your guy and girl love interests, points of view. So I got rid of him and another character, and I just hated losing his point of view. So I was like, well, let's write a novella, from his point of view. So I had a lot of fun writing that one. I think I had more fun writing that one than the first one and stuff. So
Hmm.
because I did it from a guy's point of view.
That's actually interesting. Your answer got me, to have a pop-up of question in my head as we're talking. You mentioned comedy in the first book, you mentioned comedy in this, and I was like, I'm a bit curious. Why do you see comic as a theme incorporating in your novel? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I can throw some one-liners out there and stuff, and to get people laughing and stuff. And it's just the
yeah,
situations I wrote that some situations that have actually happened in my real life and stuff
mhm,
that I found funny, and I think it's more enjoyable for people to read and you know get some humor out of it and everything.
absolutely,
Lately, these days things are bleak for some people and stuff, and if they can just get a
absolutely.
smile once a day, and if it's reading my book that does it, I'm happy with that.
Mm.
So I had a lot of fun writing and coming up with the different situations and stuff. So it was really interesting, and when it can make me laugh, then it's got to make somebody else laugh. So
It's beautiful
I
to know, and I love to.
yeah.
I love you to show it to the camera if you have a copy there with you that you can just
Yep.
put up and show to the camera so our viewers can see
Now,
what it looks
this is
like.
this is
That's
the
turned
first book.
upside down. I think you have to show
Oh,
the front cover.
let's see what is it.
Hmm.
Oh, this way.
Yeah, beautiful cover.
That's
Whiskey,
Rasputin.
whiskey, salvation. Yeah.
Yep. And then here is, I'm hoping, is that the right way?
No, you have to turn it.
This
Yeah,
way?
perfect. Yeah. Whiskey,
Okay.
salvation, refreshing. Cherishing whiskey, salvation, a novella.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I love the cover design, really.
Thank you. I had with me being blind, I had a lot of help with I have a little crew. My son's a graphic artist or
Oh,
but and so he helped me with the colors and design and then I have my own little crew of people who help me figure out what would be the best look for the book and everything. So I had to go on all their opinions. So but I understand it looks pretty good. So
yeah. I
and
really
my
love
graphic
the
art,
sound. Yeah, I really love the sound of your book, really. I do.
oh, I hope people like it and everything. So it's it was a lot of fun writing both of them, and I'm working on the third one, so that's
Oh,
even
beautiful.
more fun. So
Oh, I hope that goes well.
thank you.
Yeah. Now, Chrissy, let's talk about criticism. As authors, we all have different ways of reacting to feedbacks and criticism of our works. I'm curious to know your opinion about criticism. How do you react to negative reviews of your books, if you've ever had one in time past?
It's for at first, as a new author, it's kind of hard, after you go through all the edits and everything. But I think
Yeah.
have a number of people edit your book, it gets you kind of thick skin and everything. So you realize, they're only telling you this stuff to make it better and everything. But for reviews, I haven't had too many bad reviews. They all seem to enjoy it and everything. So I'm sure that there'll be, a few out there and stuff, or more than a few. But honestly, I think I can just brush it off for the most part, because as a learning experience, and it just makes me better, to know what people like and don't like. And when I was growing up, my mom was an English teacher for a short period of time.
Oh.
And when I went off to college for the first time, I'd write home, tell her what was going on. And instead of her writing back, she would send my letters back to me proofread and graded. And
oh. That's an amazing thing to do, really.
Yeah.
Really. That's a very fun mother.
Oh, yeah. I gave her the nickname as Red Pen, so.
That's
and
funny.
She does help me out editing my books now still. So that prepared me for life, with the critiques and stuff, because she's not one to mince words about it and everything. So she'll tell you straight out that, no, doesn't work. You can't do that. Great, love her.
Wow.
So the criticism doesn't, it might bother me for a couple of minutes, but then I think about it. Oh, okay, I can do better, or, well, it's subjective, so they're wrong.
Yeah.
So it try to let it brush off,
Absolutely.
and everything. So don't have to worry about too much.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much. I love your take on criticism. And I particularly love your mother example. She seemed like your first proofreader reader ever. Yeah. That's actually interesting. And that's actually a very nice way to react, like to get a feedback from your son. I said, okay, my mom wrote back to me. You're expecting to read a response, but you end up reading, a correction to what you've written. That's really amazing. I love the sound of it.
Yeah, I'll have to write it into a story or something sometime, I think, because it was. I think I still have the same letters that she wrote back to me.
Wow.
Oh boy.
That's really amazing. Now, Chrissy, there's this, question that I love asking authors that come on my show. I've always been fascinated about how writers, especially novelists like yourself, craft long sentences and bring works together in a way that it eventually makes a great novel. This sometimes always leave me thinking about how exactly they got their ideas and inspiration. Now, as far as writing is concerned, and in respect to the books you've written thus far, how did you get your inspiration and ideas, or where did you get your ideas from?
The ideas usually come from just stories I've heard, or maybe something I've done that I put a little twist onto it and everything. So a lot of it I just kind of like piece together things, kind of like Frankenstein. You piece the little monster together and hopefully come up with something good and everything. I just a lot of it's just news stories, or just somebody's told me something, or I've experienced it and everything. So that's pretty much how it all came about and everything. There's a lot of craziness that goes in my head. So because I've got like 20 books outlined that I'd like to write, in the next 10 years and everything. So just trying to get to them all is, and then I still have more coming up, and I'm like, no, I don't need any more right now. I gotta do these other ones. So, but yeah, it's mostly just hearing things about other things, that I want to put a little twist to it and everything.
Wow.
So
That's quite amazing to know, really.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I get them. Sometimes, like when I'm working on a story, and I come to I can't figure it out. that's when it really irritates me and stuff, because I'm like, where was I going with this, and how do I get
Yeah.
there? But I tell you what, sure enough, if I go get in the shower or something like that,
Mm.
all of a sudden, and I'm like, okay, jumping out, running downstairs to the computer to, write it down so I
Yeah.
don't forget. My husband says he's going to get markers to put in the shower so I can write on the shower wall.
Mm.
Doesn't help me though, because I can't see it. He says, well, I'll record it back to you,
Wow, funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chrissy, thank you so much. I've been enjoying your feedback so far. Yeah,
Okay.
they are so fun, entertaining, and very interesting. I'm also curious to know if you experienced any challenges in the process of writing your books. If there is any, could you share with us what challenge it is and how you ultimately overcame it?
Okay. Well, yeah. I'm not your typical writer because I am blind. So
Mm.
um, I actually never planned on being a writer in my life. I wanted to work as a librarian at the Library of Congress.
Oh,
And when I lost my eyesight, I thought, well, okay, let's do the next best thing. Let's try writing a book. Actually, my
oh.
older brother and I were talking one day, and I was telling him about a book, and I hated the ending. And he goes, well, why don't you just write the ending? Write a book and write the ending. You could do it. So he kind of dared
Mm.
me to do it. So I did it. And but I had no clue as to, I didn't take I mean, I wasn't an English major. I was a history major in college. And
Mm.
so I didn't know the whole craft of writing. So I had to learn that while I was writing my first book. That's probably why I had a hard time finishing it. And but just in this was also about the time shortly after I lost my eyesight. So I was just learning the whole computer stuff. And my biggest problem is like formatting a book, so getting it all lined up right, and the
Yeah.
paragraph, the
The
fonts,
font
and
size.
yeah,
Mm.
and the book covers and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But I got some great writer buddies that one made me a template. So he's like, just pop your chapters into each template and it'll hopefully be formatted correctly.
Yeah.
So I'm like the little engine, that won't stop. I keep doing it, keep doing it till I
Yeah.
get it done. It's been challenging, but I like that challenge. So just to say I can do it, I did it, and takes a lot
Yeah.
for me to give up on something.
Mm.
I might say I'm going to, but I don't. I don't give up, So so just the whole probably the other biggest part of writing the book is I always seem to have a problem. I can come up with the beginning and I can come up with the end, but it's the second act that I always have a problem filling in some of it. So that takes some work and everything. I've read a couple of books on how to get that middle part in there. One of them was by James Scott Bell, I think, and that really helped. So I definitely suggest, if anybody has problems with, the craft of writing, definitely read up on it, because that those books can help. They really can help and everything. So it, but it's a, learning process every day, something new, learning how to write and publishing. And but for the most part, I got it, and I've got a great crew of people that help me out too.
That's really impressive, really. And I love your take on this. It really made for an interesting discussion and an interesting read. Now, I'd also love to ask you, Chrissy, apart from Rescuing Whiskey Salvation and
Mhm.
Cherishing Whiskey Salvation, do you have any other works you've authored or maybe currently working on?
Yeah, I believe it or not, I've got 4 or 5 other books I'm working on at the same time. I've got
Mm.
third book to the Whiskey Salvation series. It's Treasuring, and then I've got 2 more books lined up after that to write. And then I'm hopefully going to be publishing here in January a cookbook that has a Western theme to it, and I'm just getting the edits done on that. Um, I have a book of anthology short story. I have an anthology of short stories, and they're kind of like, have you ever heard of Shirley Jackson? She wrote short stories. She wrote a story called The Lottery. Anyways, it was a very popular story back when I was growing up, and kind of a horrific ending to it and everything. Yeah, suspenseful, horrific type of ending. So Marilyn Todd is another short story writer that I do, that I love her style, and I've kind of copied it. And so I have a whole book of those types of short stories that those are kind of like more on my dark side. And so I have those. I'm editing those, and then I'm going to put out a kind of a craft book to help authors get their books into libraries and schools. Got a lot of librarians that I know that have been helping me, and teachers, giving me suggestions and stuff. So hopefully, because there is a process to getting your books into libraries that
Absolutely.
I don't think a lot of authors know about. And
Yeah.
I can do that, put that out. A small book, 100, 150 pages. I think that could hopefully help other authors out. And then another author friend and I were working on kind of on a coffee table book. So we're hoping to get that out sometime this next year and everything. So it should be a lot of fun and everything. But main thing is I'm trying to get the cookbook done so I can get back to the Treasuring Whiskey Salvation and everything. So it'll I hope to have it done in January.
Yeah. That's really amazing, really. I love your take on that. And it sounds very interesting to me. Yeah. Now, Chrissy, could you tell us what publishing is like for a published author like yourself? Also, are there any challenges you've encountered ever since you got published?
Well, publishing, yeah, it's a whole entity itself other than the writing. I mean, so much you have to do when you're a independent author publishing. You have to do your book cover, you have to do your marketing, you have to do your, get your editing done, just get the word out there, all your social media. It's a full-time business and everything.
Absolutely.
I actually returned from doing 20 plus years of medical transcription editing last week, and I'm doing the writing full time now and the publishing, and it's I've got more time to do all this now, but it just doesn't seem like I get anything done, because I just got to get done and everything. And if you're an author that wants to self-publish, I give you a lot of credit because you have got tons of work on your hands to do. But I love it. Oh, I love having the control of being able to, pick when it's going to go out, what the title of the book is, and the book cover, and making the edits, getting the final say in the edits and everything, and not having to change the story around and stuff. So it's definitely a challenge, and but I think the books out there that are self-published are just as good as any traditionally published.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think they get a bad rap at times. There's one or two, but then there's also been some real, rotten that have been traditionally published too. That you think, wow.
Yeah, I agree with you because I've read quite a lot of, indie books that are very brilliant. Like I'll be like, wow, this is so beautiful. Looks like a traditionally published books. It's so amazing, and it even deserves an award. So yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah. That's definitely.
Absolutely.
But I wouldn't go back. I'd continue to do the independent author, route. I like the control. I guess I'm a control freak, so
absolutely.
I like that.
Yeah. Now, Chrissy, as a published author, What sort of advice do you have for other writers who are still struggling with publishing a book like yours? What would you advise people in this category?
Well, okay, so it probably took me 10 years to get my first book out. So
Wow.
don't give up. You know, if you
Wow.
really want it out there, don't give up, believe in yourself.
Mm,
And, you know, they say anybody can publish a book, but not really. I mean, I think it's those that are really truly dedicated to putting out something good can do it.
yeah,
And
that's
I
true.
just, I wouldn't give up, you know, you'll get it out there, everything, you know. I never thought being blind, I never thought I would get mine out there, but I got
Mm,
it. So in the 10 years, it's not that too far off from other people and stuff. But then I
mm,
also put 2 other books that I haven't published yet before the first one I published. So
mm,
um, I have 3 books done that, before I got the first one done. So I would just say, stick to your guns and, story is king. So, if you got the story in you, get it out,
mm.
um, there's a lot of good stories and knowledge out there that people don't share
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah,
That if they can do it, do it.
yeah,
You know, and it's
yeah.
and it's a these days to be able to do it too. So
Mm,
you're not stuck with a traditional publishing company that says yes or no. So
yeah.
I would
That's
definitely do it.
Yeah, that's so great, really. I love your
Mhm.
advice, and it's very inspiring, even the fact that this is coming from you. Like,
Oh,
I'm really inspired, really, really inspired, and I'm hopeful that viewers, including myself, would love to utilize it. Now, Chris, in case we have some interested viewers who are
mhm.
watching this interview and they would love to get a copy of your books, what platform are they available on for purchase?
Well, you can get them on Amazon, Kobo, um, Google Play, Apple, Barnes and Noble. They're basically worldwide. So
Mm,
go to my website, which is chrissyhartmann.com. You can, the books are there and they have links for them where you can purchase them at. And I even offer autographed copies. If anybody
great.
wants an autographed copy, they can contact me for one. So, but yeah, they're in their digital and their paperback. So,
Yeah,
talk the idea of doing large print and audio.
yeah.
So,
And I left a link in the description part of this interview where interested viewers can get a copy of Chrissy Hartmann's books directly on Amazon and also via the website. So thank you so much, Chrissy, for accepting the invitation to be featured on P English Literature. It's awesome having this conversation with you.
yes, I've enjoyed it. Thanks.
Yeah, the pleasure is mine too. I love it.